What is happening, gods and goddesses? Guess who's back? It's your boy, Hollywood AJ. That's right, I'm back. I know it's been a minute. I'm trying to make it on this YouTube stuff so that way I can make it big, start paying my bills, but people like to be haters. That's a different conversation for a different day. You guys should really help me getting big, getting famous off this podcast because I'm doing things that not really many people from my hometown has been doing, and I'm doing it the hard way. But you know what to do. Go ahead, comment below, subscribe, and most importantly, like I just said, comment on what your take is on this video today. Now, down to business, guys. We have a big one this weekend. UFC 272, Jorge Masvidal versus Colby Chaos Covington. But before I give a deep dive into the fight, let me just kind of go over the card a little bit, a little landscape of things. You know, you got Greg Hardy, who's always entertaining. If you don't know who he is, he's more known for his infamous role in the NFL world rather than his fighting in UFC since his debut back in 2019. He's always fun. I'll be looking forward to him. I'll be looking forward to seeing him fight this weekend. I always look forward to see him fight because we know it's guaranteed fireworks. You got Kevin Holland versus Alex Oliveira. That should be a good one. Kevin Holland is making his welterweight debut. I always thought he was a little bit small for the weight class at 185. I feel like 170 will be his perfect weight class. I can't wait to see how good he'll pass his test on Saturday. I do have him winning. Then you have Rafael Fazee versus Rafael Dossanos. I guarantee you Rafael's going to win that fight. But I'm just kidding. I'm a dad. I got all the dad jokes up my sleeve. But like I said, Rafael Fazee, Rafael Dossanos, that should be a good one. We're going to really find out where Rafael Dossanos is at in his career, and can a young lion in Rafael Fazee really make a name for himself in the lightweight division? Because if he can, you can really start talking top 5 contenders, top 3 contenders for Rafael Fazee. So that's going to be interesting. It's a great co-main event, 5 rounds. Not often that you have a co-main event that is 5 rounds. I like how they kept it because let's not forget they were supposed to fight 2 weeks ago at UFC Fight Night on February 19th, but this card didn't really have a co-main event, so they just put them on here, and I am all for it. Now, down to business. I rarely give my prediction for the first fight, one fight, but I kind of gave my predictions for the fights I just talked about. So let's get into it. Colby Covington, Jorge Masvidal. I am going to go into another video a bit later in the week on if the beef is real or if the beef is fake. Try combining those two words, didn't work out too well. But let's go back. If you look at the YouTube channel Tales from the Grind, it's basically a docu-series, a vlog entry of Jorge Masvidal and Colby Covington, and it shows just how much these guys were best friends. It shows that these guys were ride or die brothers. These guys trained together every day. These guys lived in each other's houses. They slept on each other's couch. And you guys just couldn't find more good friends in the MMA world than Colby Covington and Jorge Masvidal. They were cornering each other for all their fights. Colby would corner Jorge. Jorge would corner Colby. And they were just saying, it's them two against the world. You would always see them together no matter what. And we thought that, hey, yeah, we got a brother bond. And there's many other times we've seen this former friends turn bitter rivals. Let's start with Chuck and Tito. This is a very great example. Chuck and Tito were boys. They were diehard friends. They would go to war for each other. And then they fought 3 times. So that is probably the most famous one aside from this one. Let's not forget Jon Jones versus Rashad Evans. They trained together in Denver for many years. And then all of a sudden, Jon Jones wins the title, starts big leaguing Rashad, and Rashad just started trickling his likeliness towards Jon Jones down, which caused him to fight at UFC 145 April of 2012. Coming up on 10 years. Insane. Then you also have TJ Dillashaw versus Cody Garbrandt. Remember, those two guys were best friends at Team Alpha Male. You could see them in team photos together. You could see those guys going out to get a burger almost any day of the week. And then they fought twice, and it led to some of the best title fights in bantamweight history. But this one's different. This one is different in the sense that you can tell these guys had a bond. You could tell these guys had a brotherhood that just simply couldn't be broken. And what did break it was essentially both of their rises in the welterweight rankings. Colby Covington had won before Jorge Masvidal did, even though Jorge Masvidal has been in the game much longer than Colby Covington did. They both trained at the same gym, ATT. They both came in, although Jorge was there longer. He says in recent interviews that he was like the chaperone of the group. Like when the new kids on the block come to college and you need someone to take you around campus, that's who he was. Whereas Colby Covington sent his application, his wrestling resume, to American Top Team because American Top Team was looking to expand their wrestling program. They liked him. He tried out for the team, and he was on. And ever since then, him and Jorge have just taken together like water to a thirsty camel. Crazy analogy, but first thing that came into my head. So back to their rises. Colby Covington had a good rise, a very emphatic rise, I would say. It basically started after the Dong Kim fight 2017, where he kind of started putting his name out there, kind of starting to put his aura and his persona out as the villain. Whereas Jorge Masvidal was still climbing in the ranks. He was winning, but he isn't the guy, one of the most beloved fighters, one of the most popular fighters that we're used to seeing today. Now, Colby beat Damian Maia on home soil in Brazil. Damian Maia just couldn't outlast Colby Covington's pace in that fight. Let's just put it like that. Then Colby Covington dropped the infamous Brazil, you're a dump. All you filthy animals suck. Dana White, get that belt ready for me. I'm going to take what's mine. And that is when the Colby Covington persona, the Colby Covington heel act, because we all know it can be an act at times. Everyone close in the MMA community knows it ain't really Colby Covington's personality. But this is when this act really came into full force. And then he started calling people out on social media and doing this interview, doing that interview, doing all the interviews he can just to talk smack. He would do interviews with guys like me just to talk smack, just to bash some fighters. He fought RDA in June of 2018, and Jorge cornered him in that fight. And Colby won every round. He won every round, dominated every round, and became the interim champion. All while Colby was having his own rise, Jorge Masvidal was questioning his career. He was on this reality show in the Dominican Republic, basically reconsidering his life, reconsidering his career, and really rethinking what he has to do if he wants to be at the next level in his career. He was already right here, but he needed to break through that other ceiling like many people do in whatever walk of life you are and whatever field of work you do. You need to break through certain ceilings. And that's exactly what Jorge Masvidal did in 2020. Knocked out Darren Till round 2, one of the craziest knockouts you'll ever see. Had the fastest knockout in UFC history by KOing Ben Askren in 5 seconds. Then went on to fight Nate Diaz in the biggest fight of 2019 for the BMF title, a title that hasn't been put on the line in almost 3 years. And 2019 was the year of Jorge Masvidal. 2019 was the year that Jorge Masvidal arrived not only to the hardcore MMA fans, but to the casual MMA fans. He was put on a Conor McGregor status where you knew if this guy was going to fight, it was a big one. And then Colby Covington fought Kamaru Usman that December 2019. Colby lost, and that's when all the shots, that's when the more talks of them fighting started to surface. But I want to backtrack a little bit to UFC 241, Stipe Miocic versus Daniel Cormier 2, where they both got in an altercation at the arena. Supposedly, depends who you ask, someone was trying to fight someone else, but another man was trying to defend himself. It really depends who you ask. However, I believe this is where everything started. It was around August 2019 where Colby Covington had a fight of his own. He was in the news. Colby Covington was like the Jake Paul of the MMA world where you just tune in to watch him lose. It don't matter how much money he makes, no matter how much trash he talks, you want to see him lose. So they got together in August of 2019. They got in each other's face, and that's when the bad blood really started. That's when Colby started saying disparaging things about Jorge, challenging his manhood, saying he's a deadbeat father. He's saying more of that now, but the talks of them fighting and the real back and forth comments between those two started in August of 2019. And with Masvidal's rise and Covington losing, the talks of them fighting, it really made sense. But then Jorge went on to have 2 fights against Usman. Colby went on to beat Tyron Woodley and then fight Usman again and come up short in an effort against Usman the second time. And that's why we're here. It is a fight that makes a lot of sense. It is a fight that has to happen, especially at both of their stages in a career. Both of these men need a win. But if there's anyone that needs a win more, it's Jorge Masvidal, because he's lost 2 in a row. And the second one was one of the most devastating knockouts I've ever seen. And I never thought it would happen to a guy like Jorge Masvidal. But let's get into the fight overall. As I said, both guys need a win, but Jorge needs a win way more. There is no 2 guys that know each other more than them. Colby knows Jorge more than him, and Jorge knows Colby more than him. I mean, it's just, they know each other's games. They know each other's strengths. They know each other's weaknesses, and that is going to come into play. And like all fights, it can make for a very boring fight, or it could make for an absolutely intriguing fight. If you look at the Tales of the Grind docuseries that they had on YouTube, these guys got after it. In wrestling, they didn't really spar heavily, but when they did, it was always very competitive. But like I said about Francis and Cyril Gane, that's just practice. What are you going to do when the lights are on and everyone's screaming, 17,000 fans are packed just to watch you fight? What are you going to do? So that's practice. You could take everything you want out of those practice sessions, but this is what we're all looking for. You have 2 guys that don't like each other. You got 2 guys that know each other better, and it's going to lead to one of the craziest fights I think we've seen. So I kind of told you guys the story and how we got here and just how much they were brothers and how this fight is unlike anyone has ever seen. And for those that get to be there live, cherish it, because we're only going to see this once in our lifetime. I do think that if there is going to be a finish, it's going to be from Jorge Masvidal. Colby Covington doesn't really finish guys. He doesn't have that one-punch knockout power. He doesn't have that style of you have to fear one thing. He has a style of I'm going to outwork you. And when I outwork you, you're going to get dragged into deep waters. And when you're dragged into deep waters, that's when I'm going to submit you or finish you off. But Colby Covington doesn't really have that instinct in him like Jorge does. This all may be an act to Colby, but for Jorge, this is life or death. Jorge has the ability to shut your lights out with knees, elbows, punches, any limb that doesn't have gloves on. He will find a way to put it on the soft parts of the face or the body. I'm very perplexed. And when this fight got announced, one thing came to my mind. How is Jorge Masvidal's mindset going to be? His last fight was against Kamaru Usman, where he got knocked out bad. And he's never been knocked out. In 50 pro fights, he's never been knocked out until that one, almost a year ago. How is his mindset going to be? Because Colby and Usman are kind of the same fighter. But how is his mindset going to be? Is he going to be a little more conservative? Is he going to go out there balls to the wall, especially knowing he doesn't like Colby that much? What is he going to do? Now, Colby, on the other hand, we could see him fighting his own fight. Because with Usman does have power. But it's not the power that Jorge Masvidal has. Jorge Masvidal might be one of the top 5 boxers or top 3 boxers in the UFC. But Kamaru Usman doesn't have the boxing that Jorge Masvidal does. So when Colby Covington fought Kamaru Usman, we didn't see a lot of takedowns mixed in. Whereas in this fight, you can see Colby going to his roots, going to his wrestling, and trying to just grind out Jorge and make the fight for the casuals a little bit boring. I do think, though, that Colby's ego will get the best of him, and I do think he's going to stand up with Jorge. The same way that Tito Ortiz's ego got in his head when he fought Chuck Liddell all 3 times. That could very well happen here. And I think these guys are so pissed off, so mad at each other, that they're just going to go in and just slug it out. But you don't want to get into a slugfest with Jorge, because if you do, it's going to be a short night for you. And you're going to be looking up at the lights, asking your corner what just happened. So like I said, Colby didn't have to worry about the knockout power with Usman. He didn't have to worry about, okay, if I make this one mistake, he could shut my lights out. No, he didn't have to worry about that. With Jorge, he does. And that's why I think he's going to go back to his roots and try and wrestle Jorge a little bit more. But Jorge knows that. And with that said, Jorge knows he has an advantage on the feet. All he has to do is stop the takedowns. I know it's easier said than done, but Jorge has to stop the takedowns in order to keep this fight in his world on the feet and knock out Colby Covington. But as far as what's next for them, no matter who wins, the only way either of these guys will get another title shot is if Kamaru Usman loses to Leon Edwards or somebody else. That's the only way either of these men will get a title shot. Because do we want to see Usman versus Jorge a third time? Sure, the build up to it would be massive and it'd be very interesting, but we already saw that movie. The only one that really has a case is Colby Covington, because both of those fights, up until Colby got knocked out in the first fight against Usman, both of those fights were extremely competitive. So he has an argument, shall he come out on top on Saturday night? But my final pick, my overall pick, what I think will happen on Saturday night is that Jorge Masvidal wins first round KO. I do think these guys are going to go out there and just swing. I don't think there's going to be any game plan involved. There's just going to be ultimate swinging going on, right? I just think that both men are going to be so fucking pissed that they just want to lay their knuckles upside the opposition's head, upside the opposition's jawline, and whoever falls first will be the winner. I agree with my theory that Colby Covington's ego will get the best of him and he will stand with Jorge Masvidal more than he'll try grappling with him. But with that being said, I got Jorge Masvidal winning first round KO. Very late though. It's not going to be quick. I feel like they're going to feel each other out a bit, then start swinging. And I think with about 13 seconds left in the round, 10 seconds left, Jorge drops him with something big that has the crowd going absolutely nuts. I don't know. That's just what I see in my mind every time my head hits the pillow at night. And I think that's what's going to happen. So overall, great card. In a way, if you really look at every fight, you got a striker versus grappler matchup. And it can lead to a very boring fight, or it can lead to very high intense, crazy fights. And I'm hoping for the second outcome. But I do think Jorge Masvidal, you should bet some money on him. I think he ends it in the first round via first round TKO or KO. But there you go. There you have it. Just like that. Thank you so much for watching. Please give me a like and subscribe. I'm trying to make it big, you guys. I ain't trying to pull your guys' jock straps. I'm just trying to get famous because there's people out there not doing anything cool where I feel like I'm doing things most special. You know what to do. Click that subscribe button. Comment on who you got winning this fight. Most of all, stay safe, stay healthy, keep it 100. Be nice, be evil, whatever floats your boat. Go out there and just be yourself. I'm out.